Have you ever met someone who has it all? Money, fame, freedom, and yet wakes up every day with a void that no amount of wealth can fill? We live in an era where material wealth is celebrated as the pinnacle of success. But no one tells us that the most dangerous kind of poverty doesn't live in slums or empty bank accounts. It lives in the soul of those who've lost their sense of purpose. It's a silent, invisible misery, hiding behind luxury cars, expensive dinners, and rehearsed smiles. Today, we're going to talk about the poverty of purpose, a hunger no amount of money can satisfy, and one that can consume everything you've achieved. We are surrounded by a persistent idea that money solves everything. From an early age, we're taught to chase financial stability as if it were the very definition of fulfillment. Study, work, get rich, that's the dominant narrative. But what happens when someone finally gets there? When the bank account is full, material possessions have been accumulated, and yet there's still a silent discomfort? That's where a kind of poverty few people recognize begins to emerge: the poverty of purpose. Unlike a lack of resources, this poverty can't be measured in numbers. It reveals itself in the absence of direction, in the emptiness that settles in when you don't know why you're doing what you do. It's the feeling of waking up every day without a clear why, without a mission that goes beyond the pursuit of more. And the most unsettling part is that it often affects those who've already won the financial game. Because once everything has been achieved, the question no one wants to face appears: now what? Society taught us to chase measurable goals, salary, status, assets, but failed to prepare us to face a life without meaning. The poverty of purpose is subtle. It doesn't show up on statements or spreadsheets, but it creeps in during moments of silence, sleepless nights, and in the questions we avoid. Is all this really worth it? What am I truly building? For whom? Think about it. How many people do you know who seem to have made it, but are constantly tired, anxious, disconnected? People who have everything except peace, who collect achievements but can't enjoy any of them, who set new goals constantly only to distract themselves from not knowing what really matters. That's the trap. When life becomes a checklist of external accomplishments, we lose touch with what's alive inside. The problem is, no one taught us how to build purpose. We learned how to make money, but not how to make meaning. And without purpose, even freedom becomes a kind of prison. Because freedom without direction is just disorientation disguised as success. Many fall into this abyss. They accumulate enough to do whatever they want, only to realize they don't know what they want. This is the most dangerous kind of poverty because it doesn't hurt right away. It doesn't burn like hunger, nor tighten like debt. It corrodes from within, quietly. And the more money you have, the easier it becomes to mask that pain with distractions, trips, shopping, status. But eventually, the emptiness surfaces. And when it does, not all the luxury in the world can silence it. So before you ask how to become rich, maybe the more urgent question is, why do you want to be rich? If money is just a tool, what exactly do you want to build with it? Because without a clear purpose, even the most impressive fortune becomes a golden trap. And that's what we need to talk about, with urgency, with courage, and above all, with depth. The obsession with money, in its rawest form, is often a disguised cry for meaning. It's not uncommon for the pursuit of wealth to actually be an attempt to fill existential voids, an attempt to silence deep questions with shallow answers. But the problem is that money, as powerful as it may be in the material world, is mute in the face of the soul's questions. It can buy comfort, but not solace. It can provide security, but not serenity. And when life is guided solely by accumulation, it drifts away from what makes existence truly human: the search for meaning. Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, warned us long ago: human beings cannot live on pleasure or power alone. They need a why, something that transcends the present, something that helps them endure suffering, Resist the temptation of superficiality and find value even in life's inevitable pain. Without that why, success becomes a fragile facade. And when crisis hits, as it always does, everything falls apart. Not because there wasn't enough money, but because there wasn't a reason to keep going. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why can endure anyhow." And perhaps that's exactly what so many depressed millionaires, burnt-out entrepreneurs, and ambitious young people who already feel old inside are missing. They lack purpose. They lack an inner anchor to keep them grounded when the applause stops and the outer shine fades. The modern world has pushed us into a race where the trophy is empty. And worse, many only realize this after they've already sacrificed everything along the way. It takes courage to admit that money is not the end, but merely a means. And more than that, it takes wisdom to discover what that means is for. Because without that answer, every effort becomes mechanical, every achievement just another step toward nothingness. True wealth lies not in how much you have, but in the reason you get out of bed every morning. And sadly, that's the kind of equation almost no one knows how to solve. You've probably seen this up close. Or maybe you're living it without even realizing. That constant feeling of being busy, always rushing, always chasing something, but not really knowing what. Work consumes you, the bills pile up, the goals keep getting updated, and even when you hit a major milestone, a promotion, some extra income, that long-awaited purchase, the relief is short-lived. Soon comes the next pursuit, the next step. It's as if life has turned into a loop of effort without meaning, where the only certainty is that it's never enough. How many times have you heard a successful person say, "I have everything to be happy, but I'm not"? That's not a coincidence. It's a symptom. We're building highly functional lives, but emotionally empty ones. People who have stability, but no direction. Who build empires on the outside, but are crumbling on the inside. And the worst part? We've learned to mask it with distractions. Social media, consumerism, excessive productivity. All to avoid facing the silence that screams, "Does any of this make sense?" And this disconnection doesn't discriminate by social class. It shows up in the young person who's just starting out and already feels lost, and in the executive with a solid career. It's the paradox of abundance. The more we have, the more lost we can feel, if we don't know why we have it. And this is where financial education needs to go beyond numbers, because it's useless to learn how to make money if you don't know what to do with your life. In the end, true poverty isn't the lack of money, it's the absence of meaning. It's living on autopilot, accumulating possessions and achievements without ever stopping to ask, why do I do what I do? This is the most dangerous kind of scarcity because it doesn't show up on bank statements, yet it consumes what is most precious in us. Our time, our energy, our soul. It's possible to be rich on the outside and miserable on the inside. And until we place purpose at the center of the equation, we'll keep building castles on sinking sand. Money is a powerful tool, but it's not a destination. It amplifies who you are, but it doesn't define who you will become. That's why, before chasing more, ask yourself, more for what? If you can't answer that with clarity and honesty, you might be moving fast, in the wrong direction. Life demands more than efficiency. It demands intention. And only those who find a strong enough why can turn wealth into true fulfillment. If this reflection made sense to you, if it stirred something inside in the best possible way, then this channel is your place. Here, we don't just talk about money, we talk about life with depth. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to keep walking this journey of awareness, freedom, and purpose. Because getting rich on the outside is great, but becoming rich on the inside is essential.